Hey you, thanks for joining me. So, I have been trying to challenge myself creatively, grow creatively, and I've been keeping my eye out for challenges that might help me to meet those goals. So I found this book at my local library called Creative Acts for Curious People. It's a Stanford design school book, or they call it the D School, and it's by Sarah Greenberg. And this book is basically just a bunch of exercises for the most part. Some of them you can do by yourself, some of them you cannot. One of the things that this book made me aware of is a design prompt generator, a design prompt generator called Protobot. This design prompt generator gives you these ridiculous prompts. It consists of a category and a constraint, and these prompts don't make sense. They're not really meant to. The challenge is to kind of figure out a way to still design something. It's not going to make a lot of sense. It's not going to be something that's necessarily good because it's just stupid, but it kind of helps to get those creative juices flowing. So, the way that this book had recommended using these Protobot prompts was to make a prototype using that prompt as a guide. And oh boy, that is way above my current level. So, what I did find helped me was to instead use the randomly generated prompts to basically think through how I could make this a legitimate idea. So sometimes it would be sketching things out, sometimes it would be just literally writing like a possibility question mark, another possibility question mark, where like the whole time I was unsure, but I was just like trying to find ways to dance with it, I guess. Instead, I just set up a few rules for myself. As for the rules that I made for myself, I wanted to try using this tool every day for a month. I wanted to always use the first prompt that I got, even if it did not inspire me, even if it was something that I hated. And the third rule was that I would set a timer for 8 minutes and basically do whatever I could with the prompt and pen, paper, or any other tools to just get ideas out. I'll just kind of go through some of the things that I came up with. So, one of the first day I tried to actually like make the prototype, and that was a toy that you are prescribed, I think. And I think I just made it into like a fidget. And then I had like a shovel for a baby stroller or in a baby stroller. So I tried to like come up with ways that you would actually be able to incorporate a shovel into the stroller. This next one is an example of why I am glad that I stuck with some prompts that did not call out to me. This one was a cookie cutter that's remote controlled. And I was like, this is so stupid. Why would you want a remote controlled cookie cutter, right? Um, and like, how would that even work? And then I started kind of playing with it, and I came up with this idea for like basically an app for your phone where you would have like this printer, and this app is your remote control for this cookie cutter. So you have like your sheet of cookie dough, and you would put it through your printer thing, and that printer cutter thing, and it would cut like whatever shapes that you put into the app. So you could actually be either like really space efficient with it and just do one sheet of cookie dough and have it cut everything super efficiently. So it could be like, if you only want to do this once, just do it this way. Or you could just like re-roll your cookie dough, I guess. So that's basically the idea that I came up with. I did a little sketch on here as well to kind of illustrate it. Yeah, some of them I like sketched stuff out. Some of them I just wrote question marks basically. Yeah, this one it was a boombox that is really confusing. So I tried to come up with a way to like just a boombox that literally just makes no sense. Or I made a box that just says boom in different languages and is having different arrow and has different like this side up arrows all over it. That would be pretty confusing. Some of these, like this one, is one where I have a lot of question marks more than I have anything. else. So it was design a water bottle that lets you express yourself. So I was like, maybe you could have a chalkboard water bottle, or you could have a photo slide in the sleeve. I don't know. That's probably already been done. Drawn versus stickers versus designed, constant expressions. Oh, but then actually, I think the idea that I liked the most from kind of going through this was if you could get an emoji bottle. So basically, your bottle would be something that you could use to like tell people how you were feeling without actually having to say it. Like, so there's somebody who makes like shirts, and you just point to the animal that like reflects the animal or whatever it is that like reflects how you're feeling. It has like yes and no's for communication. So what if you could do that with a water bottle? That was basically my idea. So you would have like a little wheel of emojis, and you could like have the one that's like what you're feeling at that time. And then this one was one more that I kind of liked the process of. So the prompt was design a way to order pizza for a DIY enthusiast. And so I kind of first came up with like, oh, okay, well, why don't you have like a pizza restaurant that's kind of like those places where you like pick all your stir fry stuff and then they stir fry it up for you, but do that for pizza. So you could like put all your own toppings on it, and then have them send it into the oven. Or you could have outdoor pizza ovens that you like rent out, and you would like provide this place that's doing the rentals could provide you with like the dough and whatever ingredients that you wanted to put on your pizza, and then you get to make your pizza in the pizza oven. So you get to control like how hot how long you keep it in there. You get to control what toppings you put on, how many of them you make, and all that stuff. But it takes away like you needing to deal with all the other stuff of like rising the dough and all that stuff. It's just like a good get everybody together and do some DIY pizzas. This is one other one that I actually did like, kind of, was design a deodorant that makes you dizzy. I was like, this is so friggin' stupid. Who would want a deodorant that makes you dizzy? But then I was like, but what about for keeping creeps away? So it's a deodorant that sits in your purse or wherever, and it like can spray something that makes someone dizzy. So it's not gonna like harm them. It's just gonna like maybe get them away from you in a case where that might be needed, unfortunately. Some of them have drawings, some of them don't. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe of it. It was just try. See what you can come up with, and there's no pressure. Like it doesn't have to be good. It's not going to be, but it's just something to like push you to like question what the prompt is, how can you interpret the prompt a little differently, and how can you just roll with it. I think I still would really struggle to like make a prototype based on these prompts. I don't think that is where this thrives. I think this thrives more in being a like, oh, let's dance with it kind of thing. Maybe once you come up with like an idea from this, you could do like a prototype, and maybe that's something that I might mess around with at some point. But I don't think initially that would work for me, at least with my like zero design experience. Um, so yeah, I would say overall, I really liked this challenge. It was cool to feel that like flip in your brain where you're going from like, this is so stupid, I have no idea, to okay, but what if? That's a cool feeling. And I didn't get that often. Like I would say there were probably a few times that really hit where I was like, oh yeah, I like that groove that I've hit. But a lot of the other ones were just like, it was stupid, but you just roll with it, which is still a good way of dealing with things. Like it's just a good way to get you over a perfectionism kind of hump. Very minimal time commitment. You could do less than 8 minutes, like 8 minutes in terms of what the website recommends for exercises with this. Like 8 minutes is kind of the higher end of what they would recommend. So you could spend like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, however long works for you to kind of play with these prompts. There were a few prompts that were actually kind of repetitive. Like I had the cookie cutter that was remote controlled, but then I also had a prompt that was like a cookie cutter that you can't control. And that kind of made it feel a little more boring. But again, you could always like not make rules for yourself that you can't skip those things. Sometimes I would have like a few days where I really was not feeling like any of it got anywhere. And those days were a little bit tougher. So it's one of those exercises where I think you have to just give it a go. And it may not work out several times, and that's okay. I do think I will continue to have this like as a tool that I have in my toolbox for things to keep me thinking creatively, to challenge myself if I'm like wanting to have a little start to my day where I'm getting myself thinking in that way. I think this is a fantastic way of doing that. I think I might play around with giving myself a longer window of time and like doing like 3 prompts in a day kind of thing, just to see how differently I have to think about each prompt. Or I might also try to like expand from that point that I was getting to with these. So once I get to like, okay, this is actually what I can conceptualize, maybe actually trying to prototype that, that would be a cool exercise for me at some point, I think. Or just playing around with like what I would name it, how I would market it, things like that. This tool was made with like designers in mind or design minded people in mind. So it's not something that I think all like artists or people who are in other creative fields are necessarily going to be thinking about. But I think that skill of just like playing with a prompt and figuring out a way to work with it, figuring out little connections, I think that's just a creative skill that's good to have in general. And it's good to just get over that perfectionism hump, that like thinking too much about it kind of thing. Really good for just low pressure, low stakes, write something down, give it a try, and you might just need to modify things a little bit to make this work for you. So all of this is available for free online. So it's protobot.org. I will link it in the description. Let me know if you give this a try, if you've ever done an exercise like this, or if you have any other creative challenges that you think are really good to do like for a 30-day challenge. I would love to try some other ones. Thanks so much. Take care.